God of War was a pretty excellent game. After hearing the changes, I was a little skeptical, but after diving in for almost 20 plus hours of playing the game, I must say I'm very satisfied, and I want to share with y'all the 3 major reasons why God of War surprised me. Number 1, the story. I want the story to be great. I love the old God of War games because I felt Kratos was righteous in his vengeance. I was afraid fatherhood wouldn't sit well, and after hearing T.C. Carson, who played the original Kratos, wasn't brought back for this game, I thought it wouldn't stick. But boy, it did stick. Kratos wears the begrudging father role well. Well, maybe not begrudging, but definitely a no-nonsense father. His son Atreus is feeling his way through seeing the world for the first time, and Kratos is teaching him to survive on their journey to scatter his mother's ashes. This is definitely an accurate take on an epic hero. Whether the hero is Kratos or Atreus, you have to play to decide. Just know there are enough twists and turns to keep you pressing through missions and enough subtle moments to keep your eyes peeled to the screen. Overall, I give the story a 9 out of 10. It definitely approaches perfection, but there are a few things I wanted them to hit on that they didn't actually hit on. If you're a person that loves great story, get this game. Number 2, the combat. To be honest, I thought the combat would be ass. I thought the zoomed in camera would be ass, I thought the axe would be ass, I thought the kid helping you would be ass, but I was pleasantly surprised, and I'd be happy to explain why exactly I was surprised. It really all boils down to one thing, and that's the combat felt for the majority like the original God of Wars. 75% of the original God of War was taken. I feel as if they cut out 25% and they just threw in some new things for that last 25%, but for the most part it feels very much like the old God of Wars. When you start off with the axe, it's kind of slow, to be honest, but as you get more skills and upgrades, it picks up more and more, and as you learn to chain your combos together without having actual button press combos like the original God of Wars had, you'll find yourself being able to move more fluently in combat and take your enemies out better. After 20 plus hours of playing, I found that the switching between the axe and any other weapon you may come across, it's very useful and it's very fun to do. And actually, Atreus ended up being a very useful asset in combat. He uses the bow and arrow, and starting off the game, he doesn't really know how to use it that much. It's a bit of a story element and a gameplay element, but as you move on and you teach him more skills, and you actually upgrade him more and more, he becomes a very, very useful asset. There are many times when Atreus saved my ass in combat when my health was low and I just kind of needed him to spam arrows at people so they wouldn't come after me. He also causes people to come and attack him when he attacks them. It doesn't work all the time, but it's very useful when you're in a tight situation. But this comes to my last thing that I really didn't like. I enjoyed most of the game when it came to combat. One thing that I really didn't like though was the zoomed in camera. That was actually ass. The zoomed in camera made it very rough at times to actually see enemies, and I know they designed it to be that way, but it's kind of annoying. If you've played the game, you know there's certain enemies that they love to skirt around the screen a lot, and it's kind of annoying to try to keep your eye on them. But other than that, that was really the only thing that I really didn't like about the combat. I really have to give the combat an 8 out of 10. That camera thing kind of bothered me. I would have been perfectly fine with if they had just gave you an option of zooming out just a tad bit, you know. But they didn't. So 8 out of 10 for them. Moving on. Alright, last but not least, number 3, the relationship between Atreus and Kratos. This has to be the best part of the game to me. I doubted their relationship could be compelling and truly make me care, but damn, I was wrong. In the first few hours, I didn't like Atreus at all, mainly because in my mind, I was controlling Kratos, the god of war, the god killer, the badass. When in reality, I was playing as Kratos, the dude who just lost his wife, the father, the single father, and still a badass. As I put myself in this older Kratos' shoes, I began to feel like the boy, as Kratos likes to call him, and I began to really start messing with the boy. As the game progresses, Atreus shows its personality. He never stops talking or asking questions in the game, which makes sense for a kid. It might sound annoying, but in reality it wasn't, because spoilers. Spoilers, 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 spoilers. You meet this dude named Mimir, and he kind of serves as being the lore guy. He tells you like all types of stuff about Norse mythology, anything you might not understand. Atreus asks questions about it, and he'll give you the story about it for the game. Really, most of the stuff, from what I researched, looks very much like actual Norse mythology. Like, it's not just lip service, but it's actually keeping pretty close to the real thing. But into the spoilers. Really, the relationship between Kratos and his son, it really showed how reluctant Kratos was to talk about his past. And, you know, I don't blame him. You know, you kill all the gods of the Greek pantheon, or almost all of them, murder your wife and daughter, I'd be pretty reluctant to talk about that too. But it also shows just how different Kratos is from his son. Atreus is he's more like a kid. He sees things through innocence. He doesn't really see the dark side of people, at least not straight off. Kratos kind of introduces him to the world as it really is more, which is good. I mean, it's good and it's bad, because it's nice to see that childlike innocence, but also he needs to not grow up, but he needs to realize the world's not a pretty place for a lot of people. But in the end, Atreus is just a kid that's excited to be on a journey with his dad. And really, their relationship did what it was supposed to do. Kratos went from being just a begrudging father to being more openly emotional with his son, and got to see a nice adventure and got to go exploring, and they really grew closer afterwards. More spoilers. More spoilers are coming. The biggest spoiler is coming. Spoilers. And really, when it got to the end of the game and you finished scattering the ashes of Atreus' mother, there's this big reveal, and really it shook me to my core, because the person Atreus is revealed to be is always painted as a bad guy. It's not really painted, because he actually is most of the time a bad guy, but at the very end of the game, after you finish scattering Atreus' mother's ashes, you find out that Atreus is actually Loki. Yeah. It was a little bit wild. It's actually really wild. And to be honest, I don't know. I definitely feel like they're going to make a God of War 2. And I don't know where they're going to take it. Because even further, at the very end of the game, once you go home and you go to sleep, you actually wake up and you find Thor is knocking on the door. He's like ripping the fucking house apart. And it looks like Kratos is about to fight Thor with Atreus. And that's where the final cutscene ends, and they play the credits for one last time. And actually, no, they don't play the credits one last time. They actually it shows Kratos and Atreus waking up, and Atreus tells them about it, and Atreus said it didn't feel like a dream, it felt like the future. And Kratos basically said, well, we'll worry about the future tomorrow, we're gonna worry about today. But in the spoilers, the spoilers are over. The spoilers are over. I gotta say, the relationship between Atreus and Kratos, really well written. Kudos to the writers at Santa Monica Studio. It really, I won't say it was just as good, but it was up there with the relationship between Joel and Ellie. Of course, they didn't have the same type of emotional moments, but coming from someone who's played as Kratos for the last like 15 years, however long ago it was when the first God of War came out, I really felt something when I saw him being a father. Because if you haven't played the original God of War series, you know, you probably wouldn't know that he had a wife and daughter before this. And that's something like in one of the God of Wars, you really saw how much he felt for his daughter when he had a chance to go and be in Elysium with her. He was damn near ready to let the entire world burn just to be with his daughter. But someone told him that he would have to leave Elysium in order to save his daughter, because if he doesn't leave Elysium will be destroyed, and then his daughter will be gone forever. So that shit ripped him apart when he had to do it. And I really feel for Kratos, because I have a feeling he was a great dad until he killed his family. So Kratos' relationship with Atreus, I give it a 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, somewhere in that range. If you're a God of War fan, this is a must buy. And if you love action RPGs with a good story, this is still a must buy. Like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want more content like this, comment down below how you feel about the game and the ending. I'm Big Stall and I'm out. Peace.